You're listening to UCW Radio. In your face.
What we got here is a failure to communicate. Oh, have I got your attention now? The lack of attitude is good.
You know what I mean?
Money to be made in a place like this.
Money never sleeps, pal.
You're crazy. Don't run when you lose. Don't whine that hurt.
You know what it takes to sell real estate? It takes brass ball.
I'm falling, and I can't get up.
All right, welcome to Money Never Sleeps, the show where we touch on anything and everything that impacts the flow of money from around the corner to around the world. Today we are going to be talking about the off-market hotel arena in London with Simon Greenberg of London Central Properties. And we are going to be talking about the taboo topic. I've been waiting to get him on the show. We're going to be talking about honesty and interior design with Ron Dayan of Beverly Hills Interiors. He's a 25-plus year veteran of interior design, and he's worked on projects around the world. Not too many interior designers can say that. So he knows what he's talking about. He's been to the rodeo, and he's seen the rides. Now, before we bring them on the show, I want to remind all of our listeners to make sure to read the latest edition of Money Never Sleeps, the magazine, on ucwmagazine.com. And we feature a few top luxury real estate players in the United States, and we are going to be changing the format slightly. Last issue was good. I think that we can do better. And we're doing the same thing with the Money Never Sleeps radio show. You know, we're going to be bringing a lot more truth to the forefront and everything from real estate to venture capital and private equity. We're going to bring people on the show that are going to shed some light on what actually goes on and how to actually, deal with venture capital, how to deal with private equity if you're an investor or if you're a company looking for an investment, how to deal with, luxury real estate if you're buying or selling, and what to expect when you're dealing with people. You know, this is a lot of truth that people are afraid to speak about, but I'm not, and not on this show. And we're going to actually touch on a lot of stuff because I think it's going to be useful to our listeners. Now, also, on my personal website, we will be adding various private high-end luxury service apartments in London and Europe for those traveling and are in need of somewhere to stay. Especially when hotels may be sold out during the season. You know, we have our fingers on the pulse of the market over there, and we have locations that'll suit the affluent traveler and even the mid-range traveler. You know, there are opportunities out there for you to be in these service apartments, and they're pretty nice. And as always, for off-market luxury, high-end residential opportunities, and this is for qualified individuals. This is not, for someone window shopping or kicking tires or someone just looking for information. If you are a qualified individual and you're looking for a luxury residential opportunity anywhere in the world, you can feel free to contact me to find out more and see how we can help you. These are off-market listings that you will not see posted anywhere, not on any website, not on social media, not on anything, whether it's Trulia, Zulia, Zillow, whatever you want to call it now, and all these other websites that you can market homes on. You won't see these on there. Trust me on that. You know, these are discrete homes, discrete purchase opportunities that are only available through us. So if you have an interest and you are qualified, feel free to reach out. Now, with all that said, let's bring on one of the most sought-after interior designers from Beverly Hills Interiors. Please welcome Ron Dayan to the show.
Goldfinger, he's the man with the Midas touch.
All right, Ron, welcome to Money Never Sleeps. How are you?
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you for having me on the show.
Well, thank you for coming on. I know that you're busy running around, zipping around for your clients, because you had you have a lot of things to do. So I appreciate you taking the time out while you're on the road today.
Yes, absolutely. The streets of Beverly Hills are as loud and as sunny as ever.
Ah, yeah, and we're going to hear that in the background, I'm sure. But that's okay. It's important that we get you on here. What I want you to do first, if you can you give our listeners a brief into Beverly Hills Interiors and what you've done?
Beverly Hills Interiors is a full scope company that does interior architecture, interior design, interior decoration, landscaping. But due to the background from London, Paris, Florence, Italy, where I went to school, and 28 years on this side of the pond, the menu is much broader than what I just described a moment ago, to the point that we often correct architectural plans, space planning, selecting building materials, and really designing new properties from the inside out, while the architect designs from the outside in.
Ah, interesting. That's an interesting view of what you do. Now, let me ask you this. Maybe you can share, if you don't mind, maybe you can share with our listeners, some of the high-profile projects that you've worked on in the past, because you've been doing this for a while.
Yes, this is the end of the 28th year, and I have designed for people who are famous and people who are less famous. So they're all equally important to me. Was featured on Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous and Good Morning America and Style on CNN and international press, and also some local television and radio shows in California. When one works with a celebrity, it presents many challenges, because celebrities come with a group of people like business managers, lawyers, accountants, personal secretaries, and they all think that their client is about to be taken because they have a lot of money. And I very quickly proved them wrong by managing the project not just from an artistic point of view, but from an economical point of view, and showing the backup of the paperwork, which is something that many designers lack, is the strength of the business side. While they are very creative artistically, the paperwork does not always reflect organization, which causes unnecessary nervousness in the homeowners or executive, in case this is a commercial interior.
Well, can I ask you something, Ron? Now, when you say that a lot of interior designers, they don't provide the paperwork, what type of paperwork should a luxury homeowner expect to see from their interior designer?
It's a sensitive question, and I classify it as sensitive because some years ago I was interviewed following a project in McLean, Virginia, by a local Washington, D.C. publication, and as a result of it, a number of designers contacted me and asked me why did I have to reveal the way that they will really work. And my reply was, there should be no secret about the way interior designers work. We're here to provide a service, and everything should be on the table. There should be no hidden costs or hidden agenda. So total transparency, as the politicians would call it. So therefore, when an interior designer is charging a client on a cost-plus basis, the designer must establish the starting point, which is their cost. And some designers have been telling their clients that they don't want to reveal their sources, and that's why the client cannot see the manufacturer's or the supplier's invoice. Not entirely true. So this is why issues of project management can actually be a source of conflict between designers and clients.
Do you think that brings I guess, a level of distrust when you have a luxury homeowner utilizing a designer?
Absolutely. They are wondering what is the designer actually paying for this? And am I being overcharged? And particularly these days, when we have the internet and there are many suppliers that have online shops, that means they don't have rent to pay, very low overhead, and they're able to sell items at times below the designer's regular wholesale prices. I recall vividly being quoted price for 2 bathroom cabinets from a wholesaler in Santa Monica, and I was able to find the exact same cabinets from Florida for $2,500 below wholesale. So with the power of the internet and right-clicking on the photo and searching its sources and multiple sources to buy it from, interior designers come under constant scrutiny as to how much did you pay for it and why am I paying this price.
But Ron, let me ask you something. As an interior designer, I know how Beverly Hills interiors work, and I appreciate you being so open and honest about this, because I guess this is sort of taboo, so let's break the taboo.
Yes.
Now, when someone hires a designer, I would think, if I hired a designer, I would think that they would go out and try to get me the best price. And when you do this for your clients, do you let them know that you're doing this?
No, because it's part of what I do. I recall a recent case in which the client has approved of the budget and asked me, where do I wire the money? And for 2 weeks, I didn't answer the question. Instead, I went to the vendors and suppliers who had the biggest ticket item on the budget and was able to negotiate an additional 5, an additional 10, or additional 15% discount and return to the client with $100,000 savings below the price that he authorized and was willing to pay. He didn't ask for it. He stated that I'm not being paid for those 2 weeks that I spent actually bidding against myself, but it's part of the service. When I design for a client, I immediately think, if you were in his place, would you approve of this design? If not, come up with something else. Don't even bother showing this to the client. And when I present budget to the client, and the budget has everything itemized, there could be 4 or 5 lines just to describe what goes into one sofa. Some clients are against that. They say, oh, Ron, can you just put it in one line for me? But others say, thank you very much for breaking it down. Now I see what actually goes into this piece of furniture. Mm-hmm. So it is important that the designer would act not only as an artistic and creative contributor to the project, but also make sure that the client will get the most for their money and actively pursue lower prices, as well as negotiate with installers and fabricators who at times are very much amazed when I scrutinize their prices and question them, and they respond, you're working on a cost plus basis, Ron. If it costs you less, you earn less, right? And my answer is yes. So they respond, why would you be reducing your fees? Because I am the client's agent. I have to make sure they get the best design at the best price, even if it means that I earn less. It's an investment in future relationships.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of interior designers don't do this.
No, they don't. From time to time, I find myself invited to speak about how to work with a designer, how not to get ripped off by working with a designer in real estate offices and private country clubs. And as a result of such speaking engagements, people approach me and say, I'm going home to fire the designer. At that point, I feel quite awful, because that was not the intent of the speech. The intent was to tell them what their rights were, not to suggest that they should go home and fire the designer.
What you're actually doing is bringing truth and clarity to interior design as should be, because if someone is paying someone for a service, you kind of want to know what you're paying for. And again, I don't care how much money you have. It's always nice to know that, hey, you know what? I'm dealing with someone honest. They're not trying to rip me off. And I have an itemized bill in front of me, so I want to use him for my Paris project, my Jamaica project, whatever project that I have going on. And that word of mouth gets around. So, I mean, it seems to me that it's more valuable to be honest than to sit and try to, I'm going to say, kind of take more from a client than you should be.
Absolutely. One must look at the long-term gain. And the best proof for that will be the client that I saved him $100,000 from the price that he approved and was willing to wire transfer, said to me, now that I have seen this level of honesty, there is a 350-room hotel you must do in my country. And perhaps this project would not have been presented to me if he did not see such openness and such clarity. Mm-hmm. There is no reason for interior designers to hide the cost. Everybody expects them to earn a living and to be paid for what they do, which is really important, because interior designers raise value of properties when they do this correctly. And at the time that the bank gives you 1% return on the money, some of my clients are averaging 40 to 250% return when they sell the property. One client recently received 40% return on investment before unpacking their suitcases.
Huh. I mean, there's value in interior design. There's no doubt about that. But basically what we're speaking about here is honesty in interior design.
Precisely. Honesty is important in every business and in interior design in particular, because our profession has only been practiced professionally in the United States for about 100 years. Before that, it was practiced by women who were good with color and were irresistibly polite. Now it's a very technical field, and with going green, the designer really has to wear many, many, many hats. Only today I was asked to design some elements that have to do with the architecture and solve solutions for the general contractor on the job. And the client said, I trust your answer more than the architect's, because you know what's going to happen inside the house. So particularly in sunny states where the indoor and outdoor living are actually one continuous space, it's important that the designer will have thorough knowledge, both technical and, as we've been discussing in the last few minutes, also business knowledge as well, how to manage the project and not to go into cost overruns. And always get approval when you find out that something is going to cost more than what the client authorized. Clients don't like receiving bills for extra expenses. They want to know that a designer cannot deliver an item at the price that they quoted initially, because the client perhaps waited for 90 days before they activated the project, and prices do go up, and inventories do get out of stock. So I had situations that dining table and chair was in stock in Houston. By the time the client gave me the green light to buy it, it was sold. A new one takes 4 months out of Thailand, because we wanted something very, very specific that was not in stock. So there are many hats that a designer has to wear, both creatively and managing the money, managing people, supervision of the project, because the client always remembers the last 2 weeks of the project.
Mm-hmm. And that's why, when the terminology of the term interior designer or interior design professional comes into play, that's because you're a professional. You should know how to wear all these hats, and you should be looking out for the best interests of your client, because as with any business, it's not just about selling the client on one project. It's about getting continued business for them for the future.
Absolutely. Many times, even with the initial meeting of the client and strolling through the space, they start talking to me about other projects, and I take the conservative approach of, shall we do this project first, and then you can decide if you want me to help you with other projects or introduce me to other people? And they say, no, I am a good judge of character. One major celebrity said to me at the end of the tour of his property, when we just walked through the house for the first time, bring a contract. And I responded with, don't you want to look at the portfolio or speak to some past clients and check my references? And he said, no, if you can have such brilliant ideas with no preparation, what kind of ideas will you have if I gave you 2 or 3 weeks to prepare for it? And as far as your portfolio, I'm not interested to see what you've done for other people. I'm interested in what you will do for myself.
Ah, I like it.
and that client was actually Smokey Robinson, one of the founders of Motown.
Wow. Well, and you know what? And a lot of celebrities, you know, they could be finicky. But the one thing that I will say, and you said that earlier on, they have their business managers, their PR, they have all these people around them, and everyone, you know, they're trying to protect them from getting, what word can I use? From getting ripped off, you know, because I'm sure that a lot of people try to do this. But when you lay everything down in a professional manner, that anything that they have a question about, you have an answer for because it is in black and white, that makes them feel more comfortable.
Absolutely. One of my clients, who was a former player for the LA Lakers, captain of the LA Lakers, and also an NBA Hall of Fame inductee, he was suing his manager for embezzlement of funds. Now, I will not discuss the case, but imagine the supporting cast of this professional, the lawyers, the business managers, the accountants, the personal secretaries. The client was just taken for $55 million by the business manager, and here comes a new interior designer, and we just fired 2 designers who even billed the client for the time that they sat down to write the bill. And there comes this new guy that we don't know too much about. He seems nice and so on. And I finished his project in 21 days. So at the end, his secretary presented me with a letter in which he wrote, I was very impressed with his performance and I gave him the highest recommendation. He always kept me informed of where the project is going. So it is not enough for the interior designer to receive money from the client and run around and do some shopping for cutesy stuff, but the designer must keep the client informed, and at the same time, when one deals with very busy and professionals and hectic timetables, one has to know when to forward such reports of the project, what to share, and how much of it. So, knowing the person's nature and not just what side of the bed they prefer to sleep on and where they require telephones throughout the house, but also the human side, the psychological side, to know how to anticipate what clients would say before even making the presentation. And for that reason, I pride myself in over 90% success ratio at presentations, because I can see through the client's eyes and know what they would think of something before I even show it to them. That is because I put my ego, as it were, aside and look at it through their eyes and look at it through their pocket.
And then you're also looking at it not just as far as their personal taste, because that changes from person to person, but you're also explaining to them the value that what your project is doing is bringing into their home. So resale becomes important as well.
Resale is extremely important. In one particular case, a gentleman bought a canal front home in Southern California with a 40-foot dock for $895,000, and we redid the house inside and out. I mentioned to him that when it's done, he will probably be able to get $1.6 million for it, to which he replied, "You are dreaming, this is not Beverly Hills." Well, I was wrong, and he was right. A couple of years later, he called a real estate agent who summoned a broker's open. And in the broker's open, the property that he didn't think will fetch 1.6 sold for 3.295.
Nice.
And he was able to clear close to $2 million, with which he bought in North San Diego County a $3.5 million mansion, and his mortgage on the $3.5 million mansion was $5,000 a month, which is what people pay for a two-bedroom apartment in Los Angeles. So he called me and said, "You are right. If a property is designed right, it sells as is."
And that's the key. Those are some of the key things here, Ron.
Precisely, to look at it as an investment, not just as creating something beautiful.
Yeah, it's not the cutesy. It's not the cutesy dootsy type of thing. It's about bringing value.
Precisely. So for that, the designer has to sort of step out of their skin and look at what the project is actually calling for, to allow the project, whether it's a home or a boat or an aeroplane, to speak to them and to cater to that. And think of it really unselfishly. I once heard a designer in the Pacific Design Center showroom say, "My client is driving me crazy. They don't like anything that I show them." And I was so tempted to turn to her and say, instead of trying to put in their throat what you think that they should consume, maybe you should tell them what's right for the project. They did, after all, select the real estate and bought it. So do what's right for the house.
And a lot of people don't like to hear the truth.
Well, as a designer, she wouldn't like to hear the truth. That's why I didn't get to express it. There's a myth about being able to buy things for less. The wife of a very famous Hollywood actress once said to me, "Why do I need an interior designer? I could go to a design center with a resale number and get 40% off." So I said to him, 40% off of what? And inflated the retail price. And secondly, the actual purchase of an item in a design project is the last step. Arriving at what to buy is the primary step here. And he said, I never thought of it that way.
And that's a good way to definitely look at it, because, buying the merchandise, that's the end result after you mapped everything out.
Precisely.
And that's key stuff. That is key stuff. Ron, I would love, and I would love to keep going into this, and we need to bring you back on to continue this conversation, because I think it's important, for the affluent and luxury home buyers, even the average home buyer that is listening to this show. If you're going to hire an interior designer, know what you're dealing with. Okay, don't just trust that they're going to do the right thing by you, because they may not be. It's kind of like you're buying stock and you're dealing with a broker. You kind of want to know what you're dealing with. So, and you need to do that for yourself, and definitely, take what Ron has said here and take it to heart. Take notes, get a pen, piece of paper, write everything down, because it's information that you will not get anywhere else. I promise you that. All right, and Ron, Ron, I want to thank you for coming on the show. And what I want you to do right now, if you can, we did it in the beginning of the show, but I want you to give the information for Beverly Hills Interiors, so that if anyone that is interested in having probably one of the most honest interior designers that I know of in the United States, if not, in Europe and globally, do some work for them, they can reach out to you.
Yes, the company name is Beverly Hills Interiors with an S, and online it's beverlyhillsinteriors.net. And it will offer you a gallery where you can see a very versatile portfolio, a newsroom with international press coverage, and also a video that has designs from 17th century England to futuristic designs. Versatility is important.
It definitely is. And Ron, again, thank you. And this was an informative, segment that you shared with us. Some great information. I love that. And we're going to bring you back on in the coming weeks. And for our listeners, I want you to stick with us because we're going to be right back with you right after this short break on Money Never Sleeps.
This is Chef Gavin Murphy with your 1-minute healthy cooking tip. For all my fellow fitness freaks out there, eating lean, high-protein meats like chicken, turkey, or even pork loin is part of our everyday diet. I get asked all the time, how do I make chicken breast juicy and not dry and overcooked? This is how. Season the breast with salt and pepper and sear in a drizzle of olive oil in a hot pan until golden on both sides. Preheat your oven to 400 degrees and place the breasts on a foiled oven tray. Pour 1 cup of chicken broth on the tray and pop it in the oven for 6 to 7 minutes. What's going to happen is the broth will create steam in the oven while the chicken is cooking and add moisture to the meat. And that's my secret. Also, very important, guys, once you take the chicken out of the oven, let it rest for 3 to 4 minutes, and this will also keep all the juices in the breast. For more tips and information on me, go to my site, gavinmurphy.com.
Hi, everyone. John and Pete Najarian here at the NASDAQ with some news you do not want to miss.
As option floor traders, CNBC contributors, and co-founders of OptionMonster.com, people always want to know our secrets for trading the options.
So we wrote an entire book on it. And today, to celebrate the book launch, we're giving away a limited number of these books for free. All you have to do is cover shipping and handling.
Learn how you can use options like we do to make more income with less capital.
To reduce your investment risks.
And to make money regardless of which way the market's moving.
It's all right here in this book, and today we're giving it away to you for free.
Equity options today are hailed as one of the most successful financial products to be introduced in modern times. You have to learn to profit from them.
This one book could dramatically increase your investment returns.
And today, it's free.
So pick up that phone and call now.
Call 1-800-961-1923 for your free book. That's 1-800-961-1923. Call now.
All right, well, that was some informative and really, we touched on a taboo topic in interior design. And I'm sure, some interior designers may not be happy about it, but this is what we're going to bring on this show. I told you we're going to bring truth, and that's what we're doing. All right, so now with that said, let's get Simon Greenberg from London Central Properties. Let's get him lined up to come on the show. Let's bring Simon Greenberg on the show. All right, we're going to be talking about London properties, and what better way to go than with properties. Simon, welcome to the show. We've had you on a couple of times, and let's talk about what's going on in London, and we're gonna kind of pinpoint on the hotel industry because I think it's important, for us to tackle that.
Excellent. Hello, Louis. How are you? I hope all is well. Yeah. We're speaking to you from London here, London Central Properties in Cavendish Square. And yes, you are correct. Today we are going to talk about hotels, both in London, Europe, and around the globe. In particular, we're going to be looking at 4 and 5 star.
Okay, well, let's start.
Right. At the moment, we're finding, let's start with London. There is definitely a very, very strong demand for hotels. There is a shortage of supply. In other words, there are a number of hotels which are being offered, but as we say, there are very, very few that can be actually delivered. And in all these cases, we're talking about off-market, whether they're 4 or 5 star hotels. The demand in particular is coming from principally, I would say, from China, Hong Kong, Singapore, India, certain areas in Europe, and in fact, the United States as well. So it's all across the board, and as I say, it encompasses 4 and 5-star deluxe.
Okay.
No, go ahead.
No, I was going to ask you a question, Simon. Now, are you are at this point? Are you seeing the demand increasing? Year over year. Let's say over the past, maybe 3-4 years.
Definitely so. Definitely so. I think in the rankings now, we would say it's London, Paris, New York. Those are definitely the 3 hotspots. And as we've discussed before, because of the turmoil, because of what's going on politically, economically around the world, whether it's the Middle East, whether it's the Far East or in Africa. So the money is coming into London, and as I say, hotels are definitely in demand.
And at this point, you mentioned 4 and 5-star hotels. Where, because we spoke about where the money's coming from. If you had to pinpoint a direction, would you say the money's coming more from the Middle East, or do you see money coming from private equity in the U.S.?
Right, interesting. As far as London is concerned, I would say principally Middle East, Far East, and I would say as far as Europe, there's a lot of U.S. money coming particularly into Spain at the moment, Spain, Portugal, and Italy, because obviously what's happened there economically, so the prices have dropped substantially, and the US is definitely making an inroad into the what we call the Mediterranean countries, as is Russia, funny enough. A lot of Russians buying in Spain, Portugal, Italy, and even Greece as well.
I think with Russia, I don't know. There's a lot of political stuff going on, so I think that they need to move their money out anyway. Exactly.
So I would say that's how it is. Principally, I mean, for instance, with ourselves, we had a viewing of a portfolio of 3 hotels, which my colleague Peter did last week, and that was from quite a substantial hotelier based in the Gulf. And they are looking to increase their inventory in London. And we also have inquiries from Hong Kong and China for similar, as I say, off-market opportunities. The only problem we're finding at the moment is there are a number of hotels, let's say, the vendors are putting out to try and test the market, but that's not necessarily saying that they're going to sell them. So that's the downside. The other thing is, bearing in mind the values and the property values, the yields are going to be slightly, the higher you go in price, so the lower the yield. I mean, ideally, a lot of these investors are looking for a 7% yield. Now, that's possible on the residential market, but as far as hotels, you're looking round about the 5 mark. And in fact, if you go for trophy assets, it can be below that.
Well, a trophy asset, that's, something to brag about, but when you're speaking about, the cap rates on a hotel or any commercial property, that becomes important. Now, you said a 7% cap rate, that's pretty much what they're looking for. Now, do you find that these investors, whether they're hotel chains or individual investors, do you find that with the 4 and 5 star hotels, that they're starting to convert some of the high-end rooms into condos?
I would say, as far as London is concerned, no, because there are certain hotels which have gone down that route, but I would put them in a slightly lower category. So, in fact, we do have one which we would call a 3-star, whereby it's substantial hotels, and we're looking to put that into service apartments. But I would say as far as the 4 and particularly the 5, there is that demand to retain as is.
Okay, that's an important thing, because some parts of the world, like in New York, basically what you find happening with some hotels, they'll take the higher floors and they'll convert them into condos to generate quick money while they're moving forward.
Yes, I'm familiar with that. I'm familiar with the Plaza in New York, where they did that with the higher floors. And I know it's something which is more common in the US than it would be in London. To a certain degree, it happens on the continent and in France, but not to the same scale.
Yeah, and the plaza is run by Fairmount, and a couple of weeks ago we had Thomas Klein, and he's one of the head honchos over there. So yeah, Fairmount's doing pretty well, and that gave us an indication of kind of the high end hotel industry and where that's headed, and it's not stopping; it's continuing to grow.
Absolutely, absolutely. And as I say, eventually, when we're looking at Europe, hopefully, and this is over the long term, economically things will stabilize, improve. So there again, the Italy, the Spain, Portugal, even Greece. So because of the tourism side, so there's a demand there. I mean, as I've mentioned before, we have various hotels in Italy. We've got one we've just taken on in Venezia. That's priced at a boutique. Beautiful. It's like a small palazzo, and that's at 50 million. And then we've got inventory in other cities in Italy of a similar or higher category.
Simon, if we can take a minute, and I want to give our listeners a better idea of what goes on out there, because there are a lot of there's a lot of information that goes out over the internet. And you have a lot of people that are not even connected to a deal, but they wind up, swooshing information here and there, trying to squeeze in when they have no clue what's happening. And you deal with that, and so do I, but you deal with that a lot where you are. So can you explain to people, if they were interested in hotels or high-end luxury off-market properties,
yes,
what the best route to take is, and how to avoid the pitfalls of dealing with, daisy chains?
Right. You see, the problem, as you said, quite rightly say, there's a number of what we call runners, and these are people who, let's say, are not in the profession, but they are affiliated or they have contacts, and basically they become involved or try to get involved in transactions whereby, from my point of view, and I've always gone by this, is our formula is that we will only work with vendors, which in fact are the owners or sellers, or the mandate. Now, the mandate would be the principal agent who is instructed, or ourselves. So in other words, we will not be involved in any chain. The most important factor for us is that we can deliver 100%. It's our reputation, and we're working with you, so it's your reputation. But there are people, as I say, and we come across them daily, who offer us various, let's say, whether it's hotels, whether it's high-end apartments or residences, but we will not be involved on the basis, A, we don't know sort of the deliverability, and B, we'd rather work with quality rather than quantity.
And that's a key point, and I wanted to address that because, as I said, you have a lot of people that try to involve themselves in deals when they have nothing to do with the deal, and they just take paperwork and move it around. And if you're representing a buyer of a luxury residence, or if you are the buyer themselves and you're looking for a property, it's better to be direct and deal with an organization that has direct access, so that if you want to move forward, that the possibility of completing a deal, if it is accepted, is on the north of 100%, as opposed to giving your information to someone that has nothing to do with anything, and it puts you at risk.
Absolutely. And as I say, I mean, this is what London Central Properties, as I say, our motto is quality over quantity, and anything that we offer will be 100% deliverable. And at the end of the day, we are here to find the exact property which your listeners are looking for.
And that's the bottom line. And I do urge anyone that's listening out there, if you're interested in luxury residential anywhere in the world, high end, and the hotels, the 4 and 5 star hotels, go to centralproperties.com and LondonCentralProperties.com and find out what's going on, because at the end of the day, you want to deal with people that can deliver and not daisy change. You want to avoid that stuff. So, I'm coming off a little strong on this, but I know London Central Properties, they're the best at what they do.
I really appreciate that. I just want to make one point, and just to confirm, they are more than welcome to go to the LondonCentralProperties.com website. There they will see a very large inventory in over 21 countries, but not one of the off-market opportunities will be listed. So everything, they will come to us or to you, and then they will get the details.
And that is the one thing that we're going to close out with, because when you see, and I have to laugh, because when you see off-market properties that are listed on a website, then it's kind of listed. It's not off-market anymore.
Well, I've seen it this week on a couple of occasions. I'm not going to say where, but when I saw that, I think to myself, you might as well advertise and put the photos up, because that's not the way we go. As I say, anything on the website, it's on the market. As I say, there's a lot of inventory there, but for the, let's say, off-market, high-value hotels, apartments, London around the globe, then you come to either of us for the specific details.
Beautiful. Simon, thank you so much. And again, for our listeners, go to LondonCentralProperties.com and see to see those listings and get more information. And you know what? You can reach out. There's a contact page there, and you can reach out to Simon and find out more about what's going on. Simon, thank you so much.
No, thank you, Louis. It's a great pleasure, and we look forward to connecting in the very, very near future.
As always, thank you.
Okay, regards from London. Thank you very, very much.
Yes, and I want everyone to stick with us. We're going to be back with you on Money Never Sleeps.
This is Chef Gavin Murphy with your 1-minute healthy cooking tip. For all my fellow fitness freaks out there, eating lean, high-protein meats like chicken, turkey, or even pork loin is part of our everyday diet. I get asked all the time, how do I make chicken breast juicy and not dry and overcooked? This is how. Season the breast with salt and pepper and sear in a drizzle of olive oil in a hot pan until golden on both sides. Preheat your oven to 400 degrees and place the breasts on a foiled oven tray. Pour 1 cup of chicken broth on the tray and pop it in the oven for 6 to 7 minutes. What's going to happen is the broth will create steam in the oven while the chicken is cooking and add moisture to the meat. And that's my secret. Also, very important, guys, once you take the chicken out of the oven, let it rest for 3 to 4 minutes, and this will also keep all the juices in the breast. For more tips and information on me, go to my site, gavinmurphy.com.
Hi, everyone. John and Pete Nigerian here at the NASDAQ with some news you do not want to miss.
As option floor traders, CNBC contributors, and co-founders of OptionMonster.com, people always want to know our secrets for trading the options.
So we wrote an entire book on it. And today, to celebrate the book launch, we're giving away a limited number of these books for free. All you have to do is cover shipping and handling.
Learn how you can use options like we do to make more income with less capital.
To reduce your investment risks.
And to make money regardless of which way the market's moving.
It's all right here in this book, and today we're giving it away to you for free.
Equity options today are hailed as one of the most successful financial products to be introduced in modern times. You have to learn to profit from them.
This one book could dramatically increase your investment returns.
And today, it's free.
So pick up that phone and call now.
Call 1-800-961-1923 for your free book. That's 1-800-961-1923. Call now.
All right, that brings us to the conclusion of another great segment of Money. All right, that brings us to the conclusion of another great segment of Money Never Sleeps. We spoke about off-market hotel opportunities in London. We spoke about the taboo topic in interior design, honesty in interior design, and we're going to be bringing on a lot of additional guests in the coming weeks that are going to give you insight into private equity, venture capital, tech companies, startups, how they went from A to Z and things of that nature, things that you will find helpful. So, and we're also looking to bring on some professionals in precious metals and stones, and that's going to be an interesting topic because that's something I know a lot of. So, with that said, just make sure you go to ucwmagazine.com to keep in touch with us. Make sure you go to iTunes, go to Stitcher, and I'm sure that we're on so many different platforms, and I'm sure that we're on some radio station somewhere. So just make sure to stay in tune to Money Never Sleeps. We're enhancing the show each and every week, making it better and better for our listeners. So I thank you for tuning in, and I thank you for your continued support, and we'll be with you next Monday on Money Never Sleeps.
Initiating shutdown sequence.
You're listening to UCW Radio, in your face.
What is your major malfunction?
So let it be written. So let it be done.
Ladies and gentlemen, my mother thanks you, my father thanks you, my sister thanks you, and I thank you.